Greetings, one and all, and welcome to the building of the 1930s time traveler Oasis Hotel. Yep, it's going to be a hotel this time instead of an apartment building in a kind of desert setting. It is going to have more of a Moroccan feel. I made total use of that Moroccan Oasis pack, so that's what's happening. I hope you enjoy the build. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background documentary on the 1930s. Not everything will be covered, obviously, but I figured I would do a little bit more of what I did when we built the original time traveler apartment building and just talk about what was going on, not just in design, but in the world in the 1930s. I am deliberately going to skip some of the darker moments as far as details. I hope you understand why. It's not that I'm not interested, and it's not that I don't believe that we should discuss those topics. Just, I feel that Sims is probably not the platform for that. Although maybe, who knows? I might explore that in a different way later on. But enough about that. For the 5 to 10 people that have been waiting for this, here we go. No documentary about the 1930s would be complete without an overview of the stock market crash of 1929. Known as Black Tuesday, it was a disaster that had been years in the making. The 1920s were full of unregulated banks, an unbalanced distribution of wealth, and a society that had been frivolous with consumerism. Some historians cite the profound agricultural slump due to drought, dust storms that resulted from them, and violent blizzards. Yet others cite instability in the economy created by World War I. On that fateful day, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had been dropping for 4 days. Prices dropped a dramatic 25%. People had been borrowing large amounts of money to buy shares in a rush as the Dow eventually fell 183 points in under 2 months. 16 million shares were traded and the economy was rocked to its core. Although this is a simplification of what led to the downfall of the market, it paints a picture of the severity of what Americans were dealing with. This resulted in the infamous Great Depression that would define the entirety of the 1930s. 1/4 of all Americans that were able to work, 15 million people approximately, were unemployed after the crash, resulting in extreme poverty and desperation in many cities across the country. President Hoover did little to stem the loss, but in 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected and put forth the New Deal, in which he made plans to stabilize the economy so that millions of people would once again have a financial safety net. It did not make immediate change, but was the foundation for economic recovery. Now for happier details. Resilient Americans looked for ways to divert their attention, and the 1930s also brought innovation in many arenas, including intellectual and entertainment pursuits. Big band and swing music began to sweep the nation, joyful dance music that was infectious and blossomed throughout the decade and into the 1940s. Government programs were put in place to help artists and entertainers. Famous individuals reached their prime during this period. Laurence Olivier, Georgia O'Keeffe, Tallulah Bankhead, not to mention the big bands of our friend Duke Ellington, Benny Goodman, and Glenn Miller. There were also new philosophies that emerged during this period. Some believed that it was the civilization's darkest hour, providing a warning for how not to proceed, and giving rise to the most horrific period in history via World War II, among other atrocities. But in this series, we will glorify the love and perseverance of the people who endured the desperate times and inspired new dreams for us all. Join me as I open the 1930s Oasis Hotel, and we'll explore the lives of the following people. Are you ready for this? This time I have a list. And before anybody gets upset, again, the 5 to 10 of you that are excited, no suggestions in the comments. I spent a long time making and remaking and cutting names and adding names from this list. And what I came down to were people that I felt were not, well, they did have a mainstream popularity, all of them, obviously, but they were people that I felt should have a little bit more exploration. There were other names that were maybe more famous or more well-known now in pop culture that I felt, well, you know what, if people still talk about them, maybe even though they don't know everything about them, that's not somebody who should be on our list. And I decided to just go with the ones that I either loved or wanted to explore myself. People that I feel like, you know, made a difference. They made a change in the industry. So I skipped quite a few people that were, gosh, really important. Jean Harlow, for example, Mae West, both got skipped. So sorry, ladies. Several other, you know, there were composers and authors and even scientists. There were a lot of other people, even Amelia Earhart. Fascinating woman, wonderful woman, really tragic story. I would have loved to do it. But I feel like these other people maybe offered something to this era that was a little bit more important, that maybe pulled us out of ourselves as far as this series goes. Again, if I had a platform to do, well, I do have a platform. If I could just do documentaries about people that I feel were pivotal in the world's history, all of these people would be covered at some point. But because we have limited space, and again, this is a Sims channel, we're going to do the people that I feel can be sustained by that platform. So without further ado, the guests that we will be entertaining in the Oasis Hotel are as follows: Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, Billie Holiday, Joan Crawford, Georgia O'Keeffe, Bette Davis, William Somerset Maugham, Ella Fitzgerald, Harpo Marx, Marlene Dietrich, and Boris Karloff. I tried to take people from all walks of the entertainment and art community and represent a slice of their world. I really, really do hope that you enjoy what I come up with. I'm going to have a great time making all of these people in Create a Sim and trying to make them resemble their famous counterparts and hopefully be able to keep them all entertained in this hotel. It will be an interesting feat. I might have a little bit more of their interaction involved in this second season of Time Traveler. If you have questions, thoughts, comments, let me know. Again, I know I'm omitting a lot of people, but these are the rooms we have in this building. We had to keep one room for our butler. Very important. Got to have a housekeeper. And there were 11 rooms remaining. So those 11 rooms are given to those guests. And I think a lot of people will resonate with some of the people that I picked. And some of them will be people that you haven't really heard a whole lot about, depending on your age and experience. And that's kind of where I enjoy doing this show. I really enjoy bringing to the forefront people that I loved or people that I've known have made a difference to others and kind of express through art what changed during those periods, in this case the 1930s. I'm going to stop talking because I think I'm becoming long-winded. Yeah, my honorable mentions also included, I mentioned Jean Harlow and Amelia Earhart, Clark Gable, yes, I know, skipped him, and Bela Lugosi. He had some dark parts of his life that I thought, well, maybe not in Sims. So we did have a list of names, probably equally long list of names of people that I had to exclude. And I apologize if any of those people are your favorites, but I do hope you'll enjoy the 11 that I selected. And I believe that the fabulous Bette Davis is going to be the woman in charge of the hotel. So she will get the largest suite and the most expensive suite. And also she'll get to be bossy, which I hope she'll do because I think she's good at that. Love me some Bette Davis. Love everyone on this list. I think we're all going to learn a few things together about some of the people on this list that maybe we don't know much more about other than their art. And that's the whole point of Time Traveler. We want to get to know them as people and find out what made them who they are. And maybe it'll resonate with who you are and what it is that you find important in your own story. None of these people started in glamorous places. So if you ever feel like you're not rising to your potential or for fulfilling, some grand dream that you had as a child, that somehow you're falling short, I guarantee you're not. There is always time for dreams, and there's always potential there. And I think these stories are very indicative of that concept. I feel like you can do anything you set your mind to, even if there's insurmountable obstacles in your way. There will be a way to get those dreams. And I think that's what I take away from these stories. All of these people overcame something, and their lives weren't perfect. That's another thing I love to share. Even though they looked beautiful and glamorous, and their, the art that they produced was kind of sublime, it was on another level, they were still human. They still dealt with the same things that you and I deal with on a daily basis. And that's a beautiful thing to me. You can still be elevated and have a persona that is wonderful and flawless and still be human. It can happen. You don't have to be in films to be a superstar. And now I'm done. I hope you enjoy the rest of this build. This is a very long video. I figured I would leave everything in. At one point I was going to cut out all the parts where I was building and just do the walkthrough at the end after the exterior. But I decided to leave everything in. I took the time to edit it, and I know there will be a handful of people that will be interested in the build. I made some choices in this building that were really inspired by how the 1920s apartment building was used. I made a huge dining room for everyone that they never used. They always ate in the kitchen. And even though this is a hotel, and it really does, warrant a huge dining room, a glamorous one at that, this is kind of in that Moroccan feel, that kind of open air, very casual feel. And I thought, well, this giant kitchen that they will share, because they'll basically be living here, they'll all eat at these big tables in the kitchen. I think that works. And then there's like a common space to hang out in, a public toilet downstairs, and of course the central pool and a bar, which we didn't have space for a bar in the old one until the very, very end. I made a whole room for the bar in this one. And then of course all the guest suites are upstairs. And my favorite feature of this build is just the giant kind of skylight that goes through the center of the building into the pool area. I love it. It was an interesting challenge, and it worked a little bit better than I expected. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see how the Sims react to this building. I do have a custodian living in here now who was my playtest guy, and he seems to love it, although he's super lonely. So we'll see what happens. I think I'm probably going to move him out and move in a butler at some point once we get our first guest in. I think I already hinted at who that's going to be. The list was not in order, so it should be a good time though. I hope you enjoy the rest of the build. I hope you are excited for this second season of Time Traveler, and I hope you'll stick with me. And if you have any thoughts or anything that you want to see me do apart from Time Traveler, I would love to hear about that. Anything that you think would fit into this vintage flavor of the Simstress brand, toss some ideas out there. I'd love to branch out and do a couple of side projects this summer. I've got my eye on a couple of collabs, and hopefully you'll be hearing about those very soon. But until next time, I hope that you are happy, safe, and healthy, and that you have, say it with me, a beautiful day. you.